I can still recall the exact moment I sensed that something was off. It was in the way she entered the house, her steps heavy, as if she were carrying an invisible burden. "I'm not feeling well," she murmured, dropping her purse on the kitchen counter and heading straight for the couch. Her face was pale, her lips pressed into a tight, almost rehearsed smile. I wanted to chalk it up to tiredness, but my gut twisted in a way I had never experienced before. There was something in her eyes that went beyond sickness. Fear? Guilt? I couldn't tell. I invited her to sit, poured a glass of water, and tried to make small conversation. "You've been getting home late a lot lately," I said, careful to keep my voice steady. She shrugged and avoided my gaze. "Just work." "I'm exhausted," she replied softly. But even as she spoke, I felt the widening gap between us, an invisible distance that refused to be ignored. That night, I lay awake long after she fell asleep, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the city outside, trying to convince myself I was imagining things. 2 days later, a phone call shattered the fragile calm. A woman's voice, formal and hesitant, came through. "Is this Mark?" she asked. There was an unplaceable weight in her tone. I think you need to see this." Confused, I followed her directions, ending up at a small clinic across town. She handed me a stack of papers, the results of a test I had never consented to, never even thought possible. My heart froze as I scanned the words. It was her, my wife, but she wasn't ill. She had tested positive for something far more damning, proof of her betrayal. The woman in front of me was the wife of the man my wife had been seeing. She hadn't wanted to believe it at first either, she admitted, but the tests left no room for doubt. "I didn't know how else to handle it," she said softly, her hands trembling. "I thought maybe you should know before it's too late." The drive home was a blur. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. I kept repeating her name in my head, willing it to make sense. I imagined confronting her. But when I opened the door, she was there on the couch, pale and fragile, wearing the same mask from days ago. "Mark," she said, careful in her tone. I didn't let her finish, I interrupted, holding the papers in my hand. "I saw them. I know everything." She flinched, as if my words had struck her physically. The silence that followed was suffocating. "It's complicated," she finally whispered. "I never meant." "You never meant," I cut in, anger rising beneath the shock. "You never meant to hurt me. To destroy everything we built." My voice cracked, betraying the flood of emotions I had fought to suppress. Her eyes filled with tears, but they were never enough. "I didn't plan for it," she said. "It just happened." I wanted to scream, to break something, anything, to give shape to the chaos inside me. Instead, I felt hollow, a quiet emptiness threatening to swallow me whole. I thought of the signs I had ignored, late nights, her sudden obsession with looking perfect, the way she flinched whenever I touched her phone. I thought about our weekends, now tainted with lies. "Why?" I asked finally, voice barely above a whisper. "Why him? Why risk everything for him?" She said nothing. Her silence was heavier than any confession could have been. 4 days, I wandered through our home like a ghost, passing rooms filled with memories that now felt foreign. I avoided her gaze, avoided the questions clawing at my mind. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing at something on her phone, the secret that had grown between her and another man, the hidden messages, the stolen moments. Then the confrontation came again, unexpectedly. She had left her laptop open one night, and curiosity, fueled by heartbreak and rage, compelled me to look. There it was, messages detailing a confession she had never intended me to see. The deeper I read, the more the betrayal twisted in my chest, tightening my stomach, burning my chest. And yet, amid the pain, clarity emerged. This was no longer about anger, it was about survival, about learning to navigate a life shattered by trust. I couldn't undo the past, couldn't erase her choices, but I could reclaim myself. When I confronted her again, I did it differently. No yelling, no demands. I laid out what I knew, piece by piece, letting the weight of truth fall between us like heavy stones. Her eyes darted, avoiding mine. I felt no relief from her guilt, only the piercing reminder of love's fragility. I can't live like this, I said finally, the words bitter on my tongue. I need time, space, to figure out if what we had can survive this. She nodded, tears streaming freely. I understand, she whispered. But understanding felt hollow, a poor substitute for the life we had lost. Weeks passed. The house grew quieter, colder, as if mourning the betrayal alongside me. Friends and family asked questions, sensed the tension, but I offered only vague smiles and hollow reassurances. I couldn't bear their pity, nor did I deserve their sympathy. The pain was mine alone. One evening, I sat in the empty living room, staring at our wedding photos. Her smile, once comforting, now felt cruel. And yet, amid the heartbreak, I realized something. I was still here. I had survived the storm, even if the damage was permanent. I don't know if we'll ever truly recover, if our marriage can be rewoven. But I know this, I have witnessed betrayal in its rawest form. I have felt the bottomless pit of heartbreak. And while it hurt beyond measure, it awakened something in me, a fierce, unyielding clarity. I would no longer be a prisoner of lies, false comforts, or love that came at the cost of my dignity. That night, I went to bed alone, not in peace, but with a newfound resolve. Our world had shifted, our lives irreversibly altered. Yet within me, a spark remained, quiet, fragile, but unbroken. And in that spark, I found the courage to start again, to rebuild a life where truth mattered more than appearances, where I could trust myself, even if I could no longer trust her. The betrayal had left scars, yes, but it also taught me a lesson I would carry forever. Love can shatter, hearts can break, but a soul willing to face the truth, no matter how painful, can endure, survive, and eventually begin to heal. I sat long after midnight, the paper still in my hand, feeling the weight of all that was lost. And yet, somewhere deep inside, I sensed the first faint stirrings of something else, freedom, and the quiet hope that life, even after heartbreak, could still hold something worth living for.